in order to have what you want in life, to have abundance, you have to do, meaning you have to work, and as a result of your work, if it's two things, if it's enough, if you work hard, and if it is intelligent, then you will have abundance. This idea has probably, this program, have been controlling your experience since very early in life. And it was hammered with great strength so that it's not an easy idea to discard. In fact, it's very possible that at this moment it seems to you very truthful. But there are different options in regard to this point. And this is only one option that you have available. Now, if we look into our religious or spiritual traditions, we see the reinforcement of this idea in the Bible sentence where we find that thou shalt earn the daily bread with the sweat of your brow. So there it is. You got to do enough. What's the problem with these ideas? The problem is that in order to meet your program, you got to work hard, right? Now, if the money doesn't come and the abundance you're looking for doesn't come, then the program will be triggered again and you will conclude that you are not working hard enough or intelligently enough, and then you will put more pressure on yourself. And then you will likely end up working longer hours. And then if the money doesn't come, or the abundance doesn't come, you will do this again and again. And then we have individuals working today 70 hours a week or more. And that means neglecting other aspects of life, of course, and compromising the health of the organism, of the mind-body organism. So, do we have an alternative to this program? First of all, are you interested in changing it? You may not be interested in changing it. That's fine. This program, in a way, is, quotes, diabolic, because it controls the planet, and as we see, there is enormous poverty in this world. And there are winners and losers. Those who have won this battle for doing and doing and doing and producing, and those who have not. Some organisms are naturally inclined to a lot of activity. Other organisms are not. So you may force your organism to comply with the program, but that means that possibly the organism will get sick in one way or another. Now, if you are lucky, at some point in your life, you got in contact with metaphysical teachings. Metaphysical teachings are confusing. They are not easy to understand. They are not easy to apply. And if you were lucky again, then you got a metaphysical teaching that told you the following. Stated clearly this idea. You are entitled to abundance, regardless of how much you do or what you don't do. Now, the first ideas we got, the first program, is based on a concept about oneself. That concept about oneself is that we are human beings and we were expelled from paradise, right? So we got to work hard and there is no choice. The second idea, the metaphysical one, tells us that no, regardless of this, you are a divine being. So you are entitled to abundance because of what you are, not because of what you do. And that is a very significant departure from the original program, the societal program. So the metaphysical fundamental teaching that you are entitled to abundance because you are a divine being, and this is because you are, is intrinsic and it's not because of what you do, are of a much higher truth than the first one. That's why today, in Switzerland, for example, in the parliament, they are discussing how they are going to give money to each Swiss citizen just because they are Swiss citizens. That means because they are, not because they do. It's unconditional income. There have been experiments done throughout the world, especially in India, that have proven that this approach of giving money to people unconditionally is a very effective and practical way of helping, and also a way of boosting the economy. Why is effective? Because it's based on a higher truth. The truth about ourselves, that we're divine beings. Now, this is a higher truth. It's not an absolute truth. Now, metaphysics has some issues in their conceptualization of all these. What are the issues? And this explains also why it's not working properly. Because many people, they study metaphysics, they apply metaphysics, and they don't get abundance. Some do, yes, but it doesn't seem to work consistently. So, what is going on? Why is not working? The reason it's not working is because there are other thoughts in metaphysics that complicate the story. Some of these thoughts have to do with karma. If you are a separate divine being, then you are subjected to karma and evolution. And metaphysics will say, well, you may have good karma and you may have bad karma. And if you have bad karma, then you don't get abundance regardless. So that further complicates the situation, right? Metaphysics teaches that we are separate divine beings. We are souls coming from the astral world to live a human experience. Teilhard de Chardin says, you are not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. So with this concept about the self, metaphysics tells us that we are entitled to abundance, but on the other hand, because we are separated beings from the one, then we have karma, right? And this explains the disparity that we see in this world. Some people are born in families that are already very rich and others are not. So these additional ideas in metaphysics pollute the field of thought, the matrix of thought, and prevent to experience abundance. So if you want to develop a real profound sense of entitlement to abundance, you need to go one step further. And that one step further is a non-dual perspective. So we see today the proliferation of many teachers and teachings that are based on non-duality. And this is fantastic because we're in the right moving in the right direction, finally. But what is the fundamental idea of non-duality? The fundamental idea of non-duality is everything is consciousness, or the divine consciousness. There is just one, not two. One Brahma without a second, the Indians would say. So, with this concept of yourself, that you are the divine itself, not a divine being, that you are the divine itself, and that there is no separate existence, that is an illusion. And in fact, this is not just a concept, okay? This can be realized. And that's the proposition of non-duality, that you need to realize this intuitively, deeply. But even if you haven't realized it yet, if it still is just a belief and you embrace this concept, this idea, and you program the matrix in the mind-body organism with this concept, this very high and profound concept that everything is the divine, then you conclude that, okay, here in this mind-body organism, there is the mind-body organism and there is awareness or consciousness looking through it. There is no separate person, right? That's a program again. It's just ideas about me, but it's not me. There is the mind-body organism and there is awareness or consciousness looking through it. However, because everything is consciousness, then you conclude that the mind and the body, they are also consciousness. And this is consistent with the cosmology of the yogic scriptures or teachings. This cosmology, which is very beautiful, is that initially, before there was anything, there was just pure divine consciousness. That consciousness vibrated and it generated thoughts, the matrix. Those thoughts created the causal universe, which is made of thought, and there are beings that are called causal beings that are living there. And then it vibrated again and it became solidified into universes of energy or light. And then there we find astral beings or beings of light, where the organism is made of subtle light. And then consciousness was frozen even further and molecules appeared. At that moment, then the physical universe happened. And bodies that are made of molecules, like this one. However, from beginning to end, everything is consciousness in different levels of solidification. So this organism, the mind-body organism, through which awareness or consciousness is seen through, is obviously consciousness. So you can conclude simply that here there is just consciousness. There's the mind-body organism, which is consciousness, and there's consciousness seen through it, which is consciousness. It's all consciousness, right? Divine consciousness. And because there is only divine consciousness, then now we can say no karma applies to the divine. Nothing can challenge this fundamental proposition that there is here the entitlement to abundance. And that thought needs to be put in the matrix and needs to stay there, solid. There is here entitlement, full entitlement to abundance. And I'm not talking about extravagance. Extravagant abundance is problematic. I'm talking about reasonable abundance. That's the highest abundance, by the way. Extravagant abundance is problematic. You need to then take care of all the things that you don't need and will make your life difficult. But to have abundance is beautiful. To be comfortable. To have what you need. And you are entitled to it. You as the mind-body organism and the consciousness looking through it, you're entitled to it. You're entitled to abundance. And it's an entitlement that is intrinsic. It's not conditioned to anything. Zero. It doesn't matter what you do. And then why doing, right? Well, because it's fun. Because you serve others, and there is joy in doing and creating.